Welcome to Our Drummers Musicians, your backstage pass to Melbourne's vibrant music scene. Recorded on a cozy couch in Brunswick, join us as we explore what it truly means to be a musician as we speak to the diverse talents that make music in our city. On today's episode, we're sitting down with the talented Jude Harris, a self-described avid drum smacker. Jude is in his second year at the Victorian College of the Arts, completing a Bachelor of Music degree in Jazz and Contemporary Performance. He's also a young drummer from Melbourne who's played with a lot of local bands and recently started his own jazz-inclined pop-rock band called Dear Judy. Join us as we find out what it's like being a current student at the VCA, Jude's recent experience as a drum tech for Buzz with GANGgajang, and what age he first grew the illustrious moustache. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land in which this podcast was recorded. We pay our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Jude, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, man. That's an awesome intro.
Oh, thanks very much.
Thanks for the words.
Oh,
And
no worries.
man, where's that track from? That little groove.
Oh, I just made it.
Of course you did.
Just a little fun number. Got a couple glasses from the kitchen and a little cowbell, a bit of kabasa, some seeds,
Nice.
and then a little bit of drums on top.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it was good fun. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah.
So maybe run me through just the brief summary of what's happened with your music from finishing high school and then coming to actually study music.
Music. Yeah. Well, I finished. So I graduated high school and then I'm trying to think what happened. Well, yeah. So right before I graduated, I had to submit a audition for jazz school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that and then had a call back with Alex Patoot, which was really cool. And I think right after school, I did some general labor work.
Okay.
Which was really funny.
Yes.
Just saving up heaps of money to go traveling for a little bit.
Nice.
Just around Australia. And then I recorded an album with this band Willowbank Grove, which was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked with this guy Stu Watts, who's just a local producer.
Cool.
Kind of from the northeastern suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was lucky enough to have got into jazz school,
Mm-hmm.
which I was freaking out about.
Okay.
Because it was just, I think growing up, just playing the drums, I never thought I could study it.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I could take it that far, especially at VCA, because I just thought, there was no way, I was always a bit of a rocker.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so I was really happy to get in. And so, I'm into my second year now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah? What do you mean crazy?
It's just been such a awesome experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. And, the teachers are really good. The people are all really good. And you're just learning new stuff every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm loving it.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's a big achievement to get into, university to do a music degree. So,
Thanks, bro.
well done. And I guess, what brought you from, doing your rock drumming to be actually, no, I'd like to go to jazz school, as you called it.
Yeah. I don't know. When I first started playing the drums, I was 14. And I just, I think at that time, I kind of went through that classic phase of Nirvana
Mm-hmm.
and Soundgarden.
Yep.
Just kind of all the classic grunge stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I really loved. And then I think the more I got into the drums, just the drums themselves, then I started to discover players like Steve Gadd and Colaiuta,
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jordan,
Yep.
man, just my hero.
Cool.
And and then you kind of I love the grunge stuff, and then I started listening to just different music. Like I love Big Thief
Mm-hmm.
and Madison Cunningham. I think's really incredible.
Yeah.
So and also so more songwriter stuff. And so then I just kind of thought, well, I just would love to keep going after school with music, playing in all the local bands and stuff. But I think I just got to keep pushing myself to get better on the drums. And so people just said you should just audition. And and so I did, and hoping that I'd meet some good teachers to just help me get better. And
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of forced me to get into listening to jazz music as well.
Yep.
Because I never really did. I think the most jazzy I ever really got was Steely Dan.
Okay.
And man, bunch of geezers they are. Yeah, I love them. And so it's been great just to hone in on it
Mm-hmm.
and just try and keep getting better and just enjoy trying to improve your art.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
What have the other students in your cohort been like? Have you made some good musical connections from
Yeah,
other students you've met there?
for sure. Because it's such a small cohort. There's probably about 40 of us.
Okay.
And of course, all the drummers just are tight as.
How many drummers are there?
I think there's about 6,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 6 or 7. And we're just all the best mates.
Great.
It's so funny.
Awesome.
Especially in the percussion ensembles.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as there's a samba groove, it's just nuts. We're just all having the best time. But everyone's super lovely, and everyone comes from so many different backgrounds, and they all have such different origin stories and taste. And that's been so good for getting gigs, because it's not only all about your tech and how you play. It's also now, there's a pool of people just to interact with and make good connections with. So hopefully they give you a call if
Yep.
they need a drummer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so have you found it you've done a lot of work for different bands and been in some bands and then, short term in and out stuff.
Yeah.
What I guess is the current projects that you're working on now?
Yeah. Well, Dear Judy,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of this band I've always been in high school.
Okay.
We used to be a cover band for the longest time,
Ah, cool.
which is really fun. And it's also good if you want to get some good paid gigs.
Mm-hmm. What kind of covers are we talking?
Pretty yacht rock,
Okay.
which is really fun.
Yeah,
I find it really fun.
I bet.
I'm trying to, we do Pina Colada and do some Super Tramp,
Okay.
which I love.
Nice.
Yeah. And now we're doing some originals, and so trying to always keep that going. And then this recent project I've started with some friends from uni called Swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really fun. We just kind of wanted to make music that we thought sounded like a soundtrack for walking through a swamp.
Okay.
So real, funky, just dirty.
Right.
Yeah, really you just describe a swamp, and that's how you want the music to sound.
I look forward to hearing it.
Yeah, it should be really fun.
So who's that project with?
Yeah, that's with Liam Perry on bass, Archie Gladwin on trumpet, French horn,
Mm-hmm.
and then Sani on synths, keys and stuff. And yeah, so I met most of them at uni or gigging at this place, Kindred Band Room,
Mm-hmm.
out in Footscray.
Okay.
We would just all be in these house bands for these improv nights.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just thought there was good chemistry, good vibe, and
Great.
great hang. So, and I think we're gonna soon start doing some work with this one artist, Jupiter,
Okay.
who's also based out west side. And yeah, she's great. She's a really good singer, and she was just looking for a band. So we're gonna try and line that up soon and play a
cool.
gig.
Awesome.
That's gonna be really fun.
Is
yeah.
that like something soon?
Hopefully, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we're just in the practice rooms at the moment,
Yep.
getting together and writing. So
Nice.
it's good fun.
Oh, so it'll be like a collaborative thing, not just like playing her songs, but you guys are...
Yeah, we're
More
playing
like a
a few
band?
of her songs and then a few of our ones, and it's gonna be great.
Nice.
Merge them together.
Cool.
Yeah,
That sounds fun.
yeah, it's good fun.
So, well, sorry then, I introduced Dear Judy as something that was new because I saw that there was new videos from it. And I
Oh.
couldn't find
Well,
older stuff. But is that just the original project is new, but the cover band of Yacht Rock has
Yeah.
been a long time?
a long time, but Dear Judy, as we know it, it's fresh
Okay,
on the scene.
cool. Welcome.
It's good to be here.
Okay, so when you're not playing with your original projects,
Yeah.
what is the band stuff that you've got going on? Like, are you playing constantly in anybody else's band, like just as a drummer rather than like a collaborator?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, trying to think.
Well, for instance, like you mentioned playing drums on the Willow Grove album.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
were you in the band or were you like hired as a session drummer for that album?
Yeah, well, I was in that band for about 2 years, and I recorded that album with them while I was in that band.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided to part ways just to focus on some other stuff for a while. But I'm actually back in the studio with them at the moment now, kind of as a hired guy.
Okay.
Just because we just thought it'd be great, and they knew how I played, and
Yep.
I think they wanted how I played to come off on these new tracks, which is I was really flattered, and so that's been great. I've recently been playing a lot with this one girl, Maggie Slater. So I think those are going to be some consistent gigs, and then another guy, Keo Rhodes and the Flying Circus.
Okay.
He's really sweet. I met him at work, and he just it's super Hendrix,
Nice.
Stooges, just this 60s, 70s punk rock blend
Okay.
of goodness. I love it.
Sick.
And I'm playing a lot in the Roy Darby trio.
Mm-hmm.
And Roy is a guitarist, singer, blues lad out of Ballarat, and he's just moved to Carlton. So that's been really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
How did you get in contact with him?
It's such a funny story. I was at a gig at it was at Fed Square, and the Grogans were playing, who were just, I think they were kind of this Triple J surf rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And I went for this huge crowd surf.
You did.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
I love crowd surfing. Yeah. And so I went flying from the front all the way to the back, just, flying over the sea of people, and I came crashing down. And I stand up and I look to my right, and there's just this young guy in this unreal velvet suit
Okay.
with these big glasses, kind of looking like Elvis Costello or
Right.
Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
And I just said, man, what's your name? He's like, yeah, I'm Roy Darby. And I was like, cool. And then Roy just would come to some Dear Judy gigs, and then we just kept being mates, and now I play for him.
Wow.
So it's really just a stroke of luck.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. Crowd surfing's so good.
All right. Well, so tell us more about crowd surfing. How'd you get into crowd surfing? What is crowd surfing for, listeners who mightn't be aware that it still happens in the modern era?
Yeah. Oh, man. I got into it. Well, crowd surfing, really, I just think you just got to find some people, grab them by the shoulders, tell them you want to go up, and they just pick you up, and you just kind of go Superman style.
Yes.
and just everyone just passes you down to the front pretty much till you get picked up by a secchi by the neck, and they just go, "Mate, don't ever bloody do that again." And so yeah, I think I saw a gig at the corner, and I was just having a real good time.
Yep.
And it was a good punk gig, and yeah, I just got tossed up there, and it was unreal. And now I just do it all the time. I think my girlfriend's pretty sick of it because I just kind of go, I'll be right back.
And then you just Superman it. All the way to the other side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think because I'm kind of a small, compact guy, I'm not too heavy, so yeah, I get tossed around. Yeah, it's great.
Wow. Of course you do. Yep. If anyone was a crowd surfer, I guess it would be you.
Yeah, I love it. But you be safe, and you take care of each other.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about those mosh pits, or at least most of them I've been into. No one's ever really, out to be a moron or anything. So if someone falls, you just get picked straight back up.
Yep.
Which is great.
Yeah, I guess it shows, people are all coming together to have a good time.
Yeah.
And so they are looking out for each other, and they're happy to, let you crowd surf over the top and pitch in to hold you up. And
thank God. Or else I'd probably, have a really bad number of concussions.
Have you ever done it whilst you've been on the bill?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. I gotta be like, I gotta be in a pretty sick, band, and gotta be really cooking before I ever do anything like that.
Okay.
And who's gonna play the drums if I go off? That's the one thing I always think about. But, the band always whenever I hop off the kit, they always seem to hop on and know what they're doing. So, yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of drums as a conceptual thing then, I guess part of the podcast is sort of looking at, well, what does it mean to be a musician?
Yeah.
And, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that as, you're coming out of doing band scenes and starting to do recording sessions, you're at jazz school learning stuff, you're doing all the melting pots of looking at academic study and technical practice and just having a good time at gigs and also playing and working.
Yeah.
What's a musician to you?
Oh, man, I don't know. Yeah, it's that class. Yeah, it's classic. The whole our drummers really musicians. And I think, come on. Yeah, I mean, for me, you could kind of look at it. There's the more obtainable thing where it's a musician, or maybe a professional musician or whatever, is someone who plays music as a form of entertainment or for a business of any kind, and they get money from it. So you could just look at it like that, but it's just a form of expression, and it's beautiful. It's so cool. And I think drummers definitely are. And, I think it's just making people feel good and making these sounds that make people feel a certain way and bringing people together and making just a really cool community. And especially at a gig, it's just this couple of hours where everyone's there for the same thing and they're all forgetting about everything else and they're just listening to music that these musicians make. And they just, I think they work so hard on their craft and spend a lot of time in the practice room and kind of learn about themselves and just express it outwards and share with everyone. Yeah.
And do you think that's what inspires you with your playing? Thinking about all those sorts of things? Not necessarily, in the moment whilst you're playing a gig, but, conceptually, is it things like, oh, I'm playing because I want people to have a good time or to make them feel something through my playing? Or what is it for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it ends up being that way where you kind of want people to feel good, because it made me feel good when I first started playing. Like
Yep.
when I first started playing drums, I remember the brief time before that, I kind of felt like, I don't know, like I was a pretty happy kid, but then when I found the drums, I found so much self-confidence, and I found just the people who I really connect with, and it just made me, such a happy person. And so now, and I worked hard, and I just really enjoyed it and gravitated towards it, and just kept learning different songs and learning about different drummers and all of that. And then I think after working, and you always do it, and you keep trying to get better, and then eventually when you start playing, then you think, oh, like I can bring how I feel to everyone else. If I'm feeling sad, or if something, really affected me today, then I might play, and I might try and show that with how I play, and try and, if it's a sad song, I'll really try my hardest to make people feel what the singer's saying, or how the band's playing. But if it's a disco groove and everyone's just keen to boogie, I'll just try and lay it down and make people feel good. And it's so cool that you can do that, because I think music's it really is just, I don't know anything like it that can make you feel so good. It's incredible, because sometimes the world feels really crazy, especially coming out of COVID, and I feel like a lot of the overseas conflicts that are going on, and the living crisis in Australia. Like it's an honor to make people forget about that stuff for a while, and just want to, put on the red shoes and dance the blues, So, yeah.
And so do you still get that from when you go to see other people play, as well as, when you're doing it?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's so good. Like I just saw Yusuf Days at the Forum.
Oh yeah.
And it was so inspiring. It's just inspiring. And I can't think of anything cooler than that.
Yep.
Like you just come away from that feeling and so good. And optimistic about life and the world.
Yep.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I can see it in your face. It just instantly lights up when you went, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was at the Yusuf Days gig, and I can see the light in your eyes where you're like, oh yeah.
I saw Jose Gonzalez with my best friend Ethan. We've been best buds since we were 5, and he bought me a ticket for my birthday, and we went together, and we almost started crying.
Wow.
It was just so good. And he was so funny and charismatic, and the Forum, it's 2,000 people in there, and they're just silent, listening to one guy with a little acoustic.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw Kings of Convenience there. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah.
And similarly, 2 guys and their acoustic guitars, and the Forum was just dead silent as everyone just tunes right in and gets on that level. And they brought out like a Mexican band later, and they played like some stuff, and there was a bit of dancing and stuff. But,
Great.
yeah, it's pretty awesome when you have a room full and there's someone doing an act that is, quite small and acoustic and intimate, and then you just have a room of 2,000 people that everybody zooms right in and gets on that level.
I just think it's really, I don't know, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but I just find it so overwhelmingly beautiful. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. And, I like hearing your passion for it. And I think, part of that is what makes you so likable and charismatic, and people, want to work with you, because you're a really passionate guy. And, I think it comes through in like your playing and stuff as well, that, you really care about it, and you're not just trying to like chase fame or fortune or a big paycheck would be nice, but it's not why you're playing drums. Like you're playing because you really care about music and you love it and it affects you and you want it to affect others.
Yeah.
And I think it's really big kudos to you for that and like being
thanks,
consistent
mate.
with it.
Yeah, same to you, And I think, there's really no other way to be. Like, it's, I think if you're just good to people and if you just try and be nice outwards in the output, everyone just gives back. And then you just naturally start to surround yourself with people with a similar mindset. And, what a good way to be. You just got to be nice to people because a lot of people are just lame. A lot of people, you're just like, wow, geez, I'm going to go bump my head into a wall for a few minutes, Jeez, that was grim. But yeah, you just got to be nice. Yeah.
It's the little things, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I think of every, big time session musician in Australia, say, like from the working cohort,
Totally.
they're all the loveliest people. They're so nice to be around. They're so generous. Like, of course, they're extremely talented and they play amazing. But it comes across so evidently that all of a sudden it's not like an ego thing or it's just a genuine and humble human being, and they all seem to have that same quality. And it goes such a long way. Those are the people that are getting hired to play, at all levels, and the ones at the top are all super lovely, genuine people that are really nice and really polite, really caring, and they're also the best musicians.
Yeah. And it's like, because their personality even comes out in their playing. It's so weird. And because you also, it's true about that whole session scene. Like, they all really are the nicest people. And the ones who maybe aren't getting as much work because, when you go talk to them, it's a bit rough. And you're like, whoa. Because it's, there are so many good players in Australia and around the world, but if you're hard to be around, you just won't be around. Yeah.
So I saw you just made those posts about the drum tech gig you just did. Can you tell us about that?
Oh man. So that was really fun. And that's another example of just being around lovely people. Because the drum tech work I just did over maybe last weekend, up in Queensland with GANGgajang, like those guys are so lovely. And I mean, Buzz, who I was drum teching for, has been around for a while because he was a founding drummer for the Angels, and he's just he's been around. And I think, Mark Callahan is a really lovely guy and is quite involved with the music scene of Australia. So, got to nip that in the butt. It's good to be around good people. But we did, I flew up to the Gold Coast and we did a show there in Southport at the RSL. That's a wild RSL.
Okay.
It holds 1,000 people in their band room. I've really never seen anything like it.
Okay.
It was honestly kind of confronting.
Right.
I was like, this is where all the people's pokies money is going to. That's for another podcast. And then we did Lefties in Brisbane, and that place is so cool. And that was a sold out gig, and that was just a really good time. Everyone was just rocking and the people were loving it. And then we also went up to Sunshine Coast and did the Life Saving Club there, which, again, holds a surprisingly large amount of people. And that was really fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was it like, doing the drum tech work?
So cool.
Yeah?
Yeah. And so different because all the gigs I played, it's kind of always been about, all the sound guys and the stage crew going, oh, guys, how can we make sure, this is feeling good for you, and sorting out all the platforms for you and all that stuff. So it was really nice to be on the other side and just making sure that the band feels really comfortable, and especially Buzz feels really comfortable.
Yep.
So that they just play the best show. And Buzz is so cool because he plays kind of he plays left-handed but open-handed. So it's pretty much just a righty setup. And then he's got, but what he does is he puts his ride cymbal over the rack tom.
Yep.
And then two crashes, and so it was a pretty interesting setup to figure out, and you try and just memorize, what angle they like the snare and how low they want it, how the floor tom sits.
Yep.
And then he also had some roto toms.
Okay.
In between the rack and floor, so where you put those. And so I loved setting it up, and then every now and then you get to do a sound check.
Yep.
Just to make sure all the levels are working. And I think it was like a Pearl Masters.
Okay.
Some really nice sizes. So I kind of would try and rip into it a little bit, and
Of course.
which is so fun. But yeah, it was a really good experience.
Great.
Yeah.
Is that something that, you're interested in doing some more of?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because it's just you're just around the drums, and you just it's a cool experience. And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. That was my first time doing anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely open to doing it again. So if anyone's needs a guy,
Yeah. Well,
lucky
cool.
you stumbled upon this mega podcast.
Yeah.
Because I'm keen.
Well, hopefully someone, is listening and wants you to come along.
Yeah.
But also as a drummer, probably, first and foremost.
Yeah. Well,
We'd like to hear you hitting the skins.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah. See how you go.
So did you have a relationship with Bud before this?
Yeah. Well, so I got the gig because my dad's been their sound guy for, I reckon, 30 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He's been around with them for a super long time. My dad's a really good sound engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he used to work for this guy Iota, who's a cool songwriter, and then the Whitlams and Dan Sultan. I think he did the Teskey brothers a few times, like right when they were starting up. And
yeah, wow.
a bit of Powderfinger and Silverchair.
Mm-hmm.
And then his brother Jeff also played drums for a while for the Divinals.
Mm-hmm.
So they just kind of always hung out.
Yeah, right.
And they all know each other really well. So Dad invited me up because he was doing sound. He said, just would be good to have an extra set of hands.
Cool.
Especially a drummer with the drum kit. Just to set up the stage, and yeah.
Yeah, especially a kit that is that big too.
It was quite a big kit.
Yep.
Which was, for a drummer, it's awesome. Yeah. I'm not complaining, Yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool. So what's your dad's name?
Greg Harris.
Okay.
Yeah.
And live sound, recorded sound, both? What's his...
I think he's done a bit of recording, but really he's always kind of been, front of house and monitors kind of guy.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he's always been up that realm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, how much did that influence you and your music? Having your dad, in and around the industry?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I'd always kind of sit next to him behind the desk. I think one of my strongest memories with him as a kid was one time he was doing the Australian Open with Blue Juice.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Back in 2012.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
What a funny band too.
They're awesome.
Man, they're so funny.
Yep.
They're geezers. Yeah. And I remember sitting next to him behind the desk, eating fish and chips with a bit of tartar sauce. And just watching them, and everyone was just having such a good time. And I remember the singer climbing the stage, just hanging from the bars up top.
Okay.
Quite a few wild theatrics.
Yep.
And Yeah. So I think that stuff, I was always surrounded by good musos, and I always got to just see some cool rooms and cool spaces where people were playing. But I think he also more influenced me in my taste and sound. Like he always had a good sound system at home, and he would crank the bass a bit so you could really feel.
Yep.
Man, you could feel the kick and the bass thumping in your chest, and man, and he'd always put on Prince and In Excess, and he loved Killing Joke. They're an awesome band, and Prefab Sprout. But the one album, like he always put on 10 to 1 by Midnight Oil,
Okay.
and like that album's such a blueprint for who I am.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Rob Hurst is such a good drummer. He hits pretty hard, which is awesome. But just the parts he writes are so good. I love his fills, and I mean the rest of the band, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
And the songs hold so much meaning, and as an Aussie, you just resonate with it. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, quite an iconic Australian album to, set the tone for you as a musician.
Yeah, it is pretty iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, love it.
I've got like a couple of like segment ideas I'd like to try with you.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But I don't have any like music hits or anything cool for them.
Okay.
Because they're like newer ideas. But the first segment I'd like to introduce you to.
Yeah.
I haven't got a name for it yet, but I'm thinking something like Quest for Guest.
Cool. Yeah.
That sounds too much like a quest.
Quest for
But
guest.
like
All right.
the concept is that each podcast guest
Yeah.
asks a question for the next podcast guest.
Oh, okay.
So I've got a question for you here.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, so this question is from Greg Arnold of Things of Stone and Wood,
Okay.
who actually used to tour with Midnight Oil.
Wow.
So here's Greg's question for you, Jude.
Okay. G'day, Greg. See what we got.
What is the thing that most emotionally connects you to a piece of music?
Whoa.
Heavy question.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow. Oh, man, I don't know what I'm going to ask. That's... I might start crying. What really connects me? I always think about when I think about the songs I'm most connected with. Like I always think about this one song called 10 Years Gone by Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a bit of a rock ballad, and it's awesome. But I think what really gets me in that song, and all the songs I really love, I think is like a combination of a beautiful soundscape, like the tones are just unreal, and the parts are so good. And it could go the other way where the lyrics are so incredible. Like I just read through the lyrics of Across the Universe by the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. So moving.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's it. It's like the perfect combination of, it really works when it's the band just brings the right sound with the most moving, impactful lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes just the ultimate climax of a song.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, what question would you like to ask
Oh, yeah, I got to
the
ask
next
one.
guest?
What could I ask?
The interesting thing is that you don't know what they do. So
Yeah.
it could be, an original artist or like an instrumentalist or, any genre.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I'm going to have to
No.
pick or choose like which questions go to
No,
which
I think
people. But,
okay.
um,
Maybe
I'd like you to go as like niche as you feel like you want to go.
yeah.
because that was kind of a heavy hitting question from Greg.
Yeah, bro. That was awesome. That really sunk me back into the couch.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
And I hope that satisfies, your criteria of that question. Maybe if you could, who would you go out? Oh, who would you go to Macca's with? Like a musician. Like what's a musician? Like which musician would you like to just go grab some KFC or Macca's with and just have a Big Mac and just kind of eat some sloppy food and shoot it with? Yeah.
All right, nice. I like it.
Is that a nuts question?
It's great.
Really?
I'm excited to see who gets it.
Or maybe I'll just say who they would like to go out for dinner with.
No, this is better.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Should I do my nice question voice?
Yeah. Put on your nice question voice.
Okay. Hello. If you could take a musician that you idolize to Macca's or KFC or Hungry Jack's, any of those fast food sloppy joints, who would you take and have a really deep discussion with over a Big Mac or, yeah.
Nice. That's great.
That's a lot better.
Yeah, and it was read very well.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so final segment of the podcast.
Cool.
We're going to do 5 quick fire questions.
Cool.
So just,
Bang.
yeah, first thing that comes to mind.
Sure thing.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Favorite venue to play in Melbourne?
Oh, I really like the Gershwin Room at the SB and the Corner.
What's your dream venue to play at?
I think either Sydney Myer Music Bowl, the Forum, or maybe is it the Red Rock Amphitheatre over in America?
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to play there. That's such a beautiful space. Yeah.
What's your coffee order?
Oh, I'm pretty chill. I'm like a soy boy latte kind of guy. Yeah. Milk kind of scares me sometimes in my system. So,
what's the best place for food after a gig?
I mean, when you're really feeling it, a kebab's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hotspot kebabs in Fairfield on Station Street and Darabin Road. They're my number ones.
Nice.
They look after me there.
All right, and Jude, what is one piece of advice that you'd give your younger self?
Oh, my younger self? Oh, man. It's, you know what? And it's still something I work on now, and it's never compare yourself to anyone else, anyone's stuff. Just enjoy the music, be in the zone, don't just play the drums, play the song, and keep working hard at it and never stop trying to be nice. Just be as kind as you can. That's it. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
So, Jude, where can listeners connect with you and, find your music? What's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I think you can hear my drumming on all the latest singles with Willowbank Grove and the new album that's going to be coming out soon. Dear Judy have some demos floating around on the mega SoundCloud. That's pretty awesome. Otherwise, follow my Instagram, which is 7UD1E, which I just thought was a cool way of spelling Judy. But it's quite silly. So you can find all the gigs I'm doing there. I'm playing a lot next week. I'm playing a gig at the Last Chance Rock and Roll Bar and a few backyard parties and I think a festival down in South Melbourne. So yeah, I'm always putting up the gigs I'm playing there and oh man, I just love meeting people. So if you want to come say g'day, please do.
Oh, I'd love to.
And just shoot up the DM box, Yeah.
Well, it's been so great to, catch up with you and hear about what you're doing. You're killing it, Jude. It's great.
Thanks, man. And likewise to you. It's so good to See ya.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I almost forgot to ask.
Yeah, go on.
How old were you when you first grew the mustache? Because I think it's been around for a while.
It's been around for a while.
Even though you're pretty young.
Yeah. For context, like I think I just have an abnormal amount of testosterone going to the hairs of my body.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I think I was growing like a pretty solid bum fluff mustache when I was in about grade 6. So I was probably 12.
Nice.
And then I did the full beard during COVID when I was like 16.
Okay.
And it was nuts. It was like a bird's nest, dude.
Right.
Sometimes I would just reach in there and I'd find a Marvelous Creations chocolate. Yeah. And so I've been doing the mustache now for a while, but it's, been around since I was a young tucker.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Jude.
Thanks, Luke. Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on Our Drummers Musicians. I hope you enjoyed getting to know another Melbourne muso like I did. Help us grow by leaving a review, share the podcast with friends and family, and subscribe on our website for extra info. Got a guest you'd love to hear on the show? Please let us know at ourdrummersmusicians.com. See you next time.